I stood on the balcony of my newly purchased beachfront resort, watching waves crash against pristine sand. The ocean breeze carried away 8 years of exclusion and hurt. My phone buzzed with a text from Mom about their upcoming family vacation at this very resort. They had no idea I owned it now. After being told no room for nearly a decade of their getaways, a smile crossed my face. Soon I would deliver the words I had rehearsed countless times. Just like your house, mine is out of room. Before I tell you how my family reacted, drop a comment where you are watching from. Hit like and subscribe if you have ever had to stand up to family who took you for granted. Growing up in suburban Michigan, I never imagined family dynamics would become so complicated. My childhood was pretty standard, until my dad passed away from heart failure when I was 14. Mom was devastated but managed to keep our small family afloat. 2 years later, she met Harold at a community fundraiser. He seemed nice enough. Successful insurance executive widowed with 2 children of his own, Justin and Amanda. Justin was 17 when our families merged, 2 years older than me. He was everything I was not: athletic, outgoing, and instantly popular at our high school. Amanda was 13, artistic and sheltered. From the beginning, Harold doted on her while maintaining a buddy relationship with Justin. I was the odd one out, the quiet tech kid who preferred coding to catching footballs. Initially, Mom made efforts to ensure I felt included. She would arrange family game nights and make Harold take interest in my coding projects. Those first 2 years were decent. Not perfect, but workable. I even developed a tentative friendship with Justin, who occasionally invited me to parties, though I rarely felt comfortable attending. Things began to shift when I graduated high school and headed to Michigan Tech for computer science. My absence created a convenient gap, and when I returned for holidays, I noticed subtle changes. My bedroom had been partially converted to a storage room. Family conversations revolved around Justin and Amanda. Mom would still make my favorite meals, but the family dynamic had solidified without me. After graduating college with honors, I turned down several corporate job offers to launch my own software startup at 25. It was an ambitious financial app that helped people manage debt. Looking back, I was naive. 6 months, in my initial funding dried up, the market crashed, and my coding partner bailed for a secure corporate job. My first entrepreneurial dream collapsed. With mounting debt and nowhere else to go, I reluctantly moved back home. Harold made no effort to hide his disappointment, often making remarks like, "This is what happens when you try to run before you can walk," or "Justin got promoted again at the bank." Stable career choice. Each breakfast became a showcase for my stepbrother and stepsister's achievements, while my failures were subtly highlighted. Mom initially defended me, telling Harold I just needed time to regroup. But as weeks turned into months, I noticed her defenses weakening. She began echoing Harold's suggestions about realistic career paths and appropriate ambitions. I would catch her apologetic glances when Harold would sarcastically refer to me as our resident genius during family dinners. The woman who once proudly displayed my coding competition trophies now seemed almost embarrassed by my presence. The household had transformed in my absence. Justin visited frequently with his girlfriend, receiving heroes' welcomes. Amanda, now in college studying art history, was treated like royalty when home. Meanwhile, I took any odd tech job I could find while rebuilding my business plan. Every night I worked late in my partially storage room bedroom, determined to prove Harold wrong. The first exclusion happened almost casually. I overheard Mom and Harold discussing their summer plans, a 2-week beach vacation in Florida. When I asked about dates to request time off from my temporary IT support job, Harold glanced at Mom before answering. "Actually, Mitchell, we are keeping this trip small. The rental house only has 3 bedrooms. Justin is bringing Stephanie and Amanda wants her own space." Mom jumped in. "Maybe next time, honey. We thought you would be busy with your work anyway." I nodded and retreated to my room, stomach nodding as I processed the math. 3 bedrooms. Master for Mom and Harold. 1 for Amanda, 1 for Justin and his girlfriend. If Justin could bring Stephanie, why could I not come? The answer was painfully obvious. I was not a priority. 2 weeks later, my social media feeds flooded with sun-soaked family photos. Every smiling beach picture, every family vacation 2017 caption felt like a deliberate reminder of my exclusion. The worst was a group shot, captioned, "Complete family fun." I shut down my Facebook for a month after that. When they returned tanned and rejuvenated, Mom brought me a small shell necklace souvenir. "We missed you," she said without meeting my eyes. I wore it once to make her feel better, then buried it in my drawer. The pattern continued the following winter. The family planned a ski trip to Colorado, staying at a luxury mountain lodge. This time I was told the trip was too expensive to include everyone. Yet somehow Amanda was allowed to bring her roommate. I watched from afar as they posted photos of snowboarding lessons and fireside hot chocolate. By the third year, I had secured a better-paying development job and had rebuilt some savings. When I heard about their Caribbean cruise, I offered to pay my own way. Harold looked genuinely uncomfortable before explaining that the bookings were already finalized and adding another person would be logistically impossible. The fourth summer brought their European tour, 2 weeks across Italy, France, and Spain. This time, no explanation was offered, until I directly asked Mom. She sighed before responding. "Harold thinks you would not enjoy this kind of trip. It is a lot of museums and walking tours." Her voice trailed off, knowing how flimsy the excuse sounded. I stopped asking after that. Each exclusion hurt less, only because I grew to expect it. I tried to maintain connections through other family events. Thanksgiving dinners, Christmas gatherings, birthday celebrations. But even there, I felt increasingly peripheral. Conversations would circle around shared memories from trips I had never experienced. Inside jokes I could not understand. Bonds I had no part in. Mom grew more distant with each passing year. Our once close relationship reduced to surface-level conversations about weather and neighborhood gossip. Whenever I attempted deeper discussions about the family dynamics, she would become defensive or change the subject. I watched her transform, from my strongest advocate to Harold's echo chamber. The real breaking point came with Amanda's wedding. She married her college boyfriend at an exclusive beachfront resort in Malibu, the same resort that would later become central to my story. I received an invitation which initially gave me hope that family relations might be improving. At the rehearsal dinner, I discovered my seat was at the furthest table with distant cousins and work friends. During family photos, I was positioned at the back edge, barely visible. The final blow came when I overheard Harold discussing the post-wedding family vacation planned at the same resort. "It will be perfect. Just the core family relaxing after all this wedding stress," he told a relative. That evening, I confronted Mom in a quiet moment on the hotel balcony. "Am I not core family?" I asked directly. Her eyes welled up. "Of course you are, Mitchell. It is just. Harold has already arranged everything. The villa only has. Let me guess, not enough rooms I finished for her. Harold makes these arrangements," she whispered, glancing around to ensure he was not nearby. "I have tried, but he insists these trips are his treat, so he gets to decide. And you let him," I said, the hurt evident in my voice. She reached for my hand, but I pulled away. "You are an adult now, Mitchell. You have your own life. These trips are just another way to make it clear where I stand," I concluded. That night, I left the wedding early and flew home, declining to attend the actual ceremony the next day. The damage was done. The confrontation at Amanda's wedding became my turning point. Flying home alone, I made a promise to myself. I would never again position myself where I could be excluded or deemed unimportant. My energy needed to focus elsewhere. I threw myself into my career with renewed determination. The failed app from years earlier had taught me valuable lessons about market timing and user experience. This time, I developed a specialized financial planning tool for freelancers and gig workers, a growing demographic overlooked by traditional banking. Working from my small apartment, I coded 18 hours a day, surviving on coffee and determination. When the prototype was ready, I presented it at a regional tech meetup. There I met Thomas Winters, a veteran software entrepreneur who saw potential in both the product and in me. "Your code is solid," he said after reviewing my demo, "but your business model needs work. Let me mentor you." Thomas became the father figure I had lost and the support I never got from Harold. He invested seed money, connected me with his network, and most importantly, believed in my vision. Under his guidance, I refined the product, assembled a small team, and launched properly. Success did not happen overnight. Our first year was challenging. Bugs to fix, customer service issues, marketing hurdles. But by year 2, we had 50,000 active users. Year 3 brought venture capital interest. By year 4, our user base had grown to over 2 million. Thomas invited me for dinner at his home to discuss an acquisition offer from a major financial services corporation. Sitting in his warm kitchen with his wife Sarah and their adult children, I experienced what family support should feel like. They celebrated my success without reservation, debated business strategies without condescension, and treated me as an equal. "Whatever you decide about the offer, we support you," Thomas said, raising a toast. "You built something valuable by trusting your vision when others did not." I accepted the acquisition offer, 8 figures that transformed me from struggling entrepreneur to financially independent almost overnight. After the papers were signed, I bought Thomas an antique watch as thanks. "The best thanks is seeing you succeed," he said, embracing me. Now, what is next for Mitchell Adams? While my professional life flourished, I also worked on my personal healing. At Thomas's recommendation, I began seeing Dr. Elena Patel, a therapist specializing in family trauma. Our sessions helped me recognize patterns of seeking validation from people unwilling to give it. Your worth was never determined by their acceptance. Dr. Patel reminded me in one pivotal session, but understanding that intellectually is different from believing it emotionally. She encouraged me to build my chosen family, deep friendships with people who valued me for exactly who I was. I reconnected with college friends, formed bonds with my team members, and spent holidays with Thomas's family when staying with my own became too painful. I maintained minimal contact with Mom and Harold's household. Occasional phone calls, obligatory birthday messages, brief visits during major holidays. Mom noticed the distance and sometimes made efforts to bridge it, but our relationship had fundamentally changed. I loved her, but could no longer trust her to prioritize me. My last attempt at meaningful reconnection came after my company's acquisition made local business news. Mom called, her voice bright with excitement and something else. Respect, perhaps, or validation. "We are so proud of you," she gushed, using the plural that always included Harold now. "We should celebrate as a family. Maybe you could join us for dinner this weekend." I agreed, hoping success might have changed the dynamic. The dinner started pleasantly enough, with Harold offering unexpected praise for my business acumen. Justin asked intelligent questions about the acquisition process. Amanda seemed genuinely impressed. Then Harold raised his glass in a toast. "To Mitchell, always the surprising one. Who would have thought his little computer hobby would pay off so handsomely?" The backhanded compliment reminded me that fundamental respect was still missing. I finished the meal politely, but left with renewed clarity that meaningful change was unlikely. 6 months after the acquisition, while exploring investment opportunities, I discovered a familiar property listing, the Malibu Beachfront Resort, where Amanda's wedding had been held, was for sale. The owners were retiring after 30 years of operation. Initially, I viewed it as simply an interesting investment opportunity. The property had solid financials, a loyal customer base, and valuable real estate. But as I conducted my due diligence, I learned something that gave me pause. Harold and Mom had already booked their annual family vacation there for the following summer. In fact, they had been regular guests since Amanda's wedding, making it their new tradition. This coincidence felt significant. The resort represented everything I had been excluded from: luxury family vacations, special celebrations, and cherished memories from which I had been deliberately omitted. After careful financial analysis with my advisors, I made an aggressive offer that the aging owners could not refuse. 3 months later, I owned the Coastal Palms Resort and Spa. I made few changes to the staff or operations, initially preferring to understand the business before implementing major renovations. I did, however, upgrade my personal suite, the largest oceanfront unit, with every luxury I had been denied during those years of exclusion. Standing on my private balcony one evening watching the sunset over the Pacific, I realized I had not purchased the resort for revenge. I had bought it to reclaim something: my sense of agency, my right to belong in beautiful spaces, my freedom to create a welcoming environment, unlike the one I had experienced. The call from Mom came on a Tuesday morning in May, just as I was reviewing renovation plans with my resort manager. Seeing her name on my phone screen still triggered a complex mix of emotions: love, disappointment, lingering hurt. "Mitchell, how are you, sweetheart?" Her voice had the forced cheerfulness I had come to recognize when she wanted something. "I am good, Mom. Busy with work." "What is up?" "Well, I wanted to let you know we are all heading to California next month, to that lovely resort in Malibu where Amanda got married. You remember it. We go every summer now." Harold booked the premium oceanfront villas. Enough space for everyone this time. My heart raced at the mention of my resort. They had no idea. Everyone I asked, carefully. Yes, Justin and Stephanie, Amanda, and Derek and Harold and I. 6 of us, we thought. Well, since you are doing so well, now, maybe you would like to join us. There is plenty of room this year. 8 years of exclusion. And now that I was financially successful, suddenly there was plenty of room. The irony was almost too perfect. That sounds interesting, I said neutrally. When exactly? She gave me the dates, which I already knew from the reservation system. Harold had indeed booked 3 premium villas, each with spectacular ocean views and private hot tubs. Let me check my calendar and get back to you, I replied, maintaining my composure. After hanging up, I sat in stunned silence. For years, I had imagined confronting them about their exclusionary behavior. Now, opportunity had literally called me. My first impulse was petty cancel their reservation entirely, but that felt too cruel and unprofessional. I consulted both my therapist and Thomas in the days that followed. Whatever you decide, make sure it serves your healing, not just your hurt, Dr. Patel advised. Thomas was more direct. You do not need revenge, Mitchell. You have already won by building your own success. But a small lesson in consequences might not be out of order. After careful consideration, I developed a plan that felt proportional and fair. I did not cancel their reservation, but I did not tell them about my ownership either. Instead, I booked every other room in the resort for the week of their stay, a corporate retreat for my company's employees and their families. I also arranged alternative accommodations at a nearby hotel, less luxurious but still pleasant. The day of their arrival, I watched from my office as Harold's Mercedes SUV pulled into the circular drive. The family emerged looking travel-weary but excited. Mom, Harold, Justin, and his now wife Stephanie, Amanda and her husband Derek. All dressed for luxury beach living, dragging designer luggage toward the reception desk. I gave them time to attempt check-in before making my entrance. Through the security feed, I watched Harold's expression change from confusion to annoyance as the front desk manager explained the situation. What do you mean, overbooked? Harold demanded. I made these reservations months ago. I understand, sir, my manager replied calmly, following the script we had prepared. There appears to have been a system error. The owner has been notified and is coming to address the situation personally. Well, I certainly hope so. Harold's voice rose. Do you know how long we have been coming here? Do you know who I am? That was my cue. I straightened my tie, took a deep breath, and walked through the lobby toward the front desk. Mom saw me first. Her expression shifted from confusion to shock. Mitchell, what are you doing here? Everyone turned. Harold looked confused. Justin's eyebrows shot up. Amanda's mouth fell open. Hello, everyone, I said calmly. I understand there is an issue with your reservation. Harold recovered quickly. Mitchell. What a coincidence. Yes, there seems to be some mistake with our rooms. Perhaps you could wait while we sort this out. We can catch up afterward. I smiled. Actually, I believe I can help with this situation immediately. The front desk manager suppressed a smile. You see, I continued, there is no mistake. The resort is fully booked for a corporate retreat this week. But that is impossible, Harold insisted. We reserved 3 premium villas months ago. Yes, you did, I acknowledged. Unfortunately, those villas are no longer available. This is outrageous. Harold was turning red now. I demand to speak to the owner right away. The moment had arrived. I extended my hand to the manager, who passed me a business card. I handed it to Harold with a steady hand. Mitchell Adams, owner and CEO, Coastal Palms Resort and Spa. He read aloud, his voice faltering. You own this place. All eyes darted between Harold and me, comprehension dawning on their faces. Yes, I said simply. I purchased it last year. Mom stepped forward, her face pale. Mitchell, why did not you tell us? It never came up, I replied. Just like your family vacations never included me. The lobby fell silent. 8 years of exclusion justified by not enough room hung in the air between us. I have arranged alternative accommodations for you at the Shoreline Hotel 10 minutes down the coast. It is comfortable, though not quite as luxurious as what you are used to here. I gestured toward the front door where a resort shuttle waited. You cannot be serious, Harold sputtered. After we specifically invited you this time, I met his gaze directly. I appreciate the belated invitation, Harold. Unfortunately, just like your house all these years, mine is out of room. The words delivered exactly the impact I had hoped for. Justin looked at the floor. Amanda clutched her husband's arm. Mom's eyes filled with tears. Harold's face cycled through shock, anger, and finally something close to shame. The shoreline has been paid for in full, I added, softening slightly. Your reservation includes daily breakfast and beach access. I hope you enjoy your stay in Malibu. I turned to leave, then paused. Mom, perhaps we could have lunch tomorrow. Just the two of us. She nodded silently, tears streaming down her face. As they gathered their luggage and moved toward the shuttle, I felt no triumph, no vindictive joy, only the quiet satisfaction of finally standing my ground. The lunch with Mom the next day was awkward at first. We sat at the resort's oceanfront restaurant, the waves providing background noise during our uncomfortable silences. She looked smaller, somehow more vulnerable than I remembered. This place is beautiful, she finally said, gazing around. You have done so well for yourself. Thank you, I replied. It has been a journey. Mitchell, about yesterday. About all of it. She began, voice trembling. I do not know what to say except that I am sorry. So deeply sorry. I had imagined this moment many times, but the reality of her apology still caught me off guard. All those years, she continued, I told myself it was okay, because you were building your own life, that you did not need family vacations anymore. But that was a lie, I told myself, because standing up to Harold seemed impossible. Why, I asked the question that had haunted me for years. Why was it so hard to include your own son? She looked down at her untouched salad. After your father died, I was terrified of being alone. Harold offered security, stability. He had strong opinions about family dynamics, about how close adult children should be. I compromised, things I should never have compromised, because I was afraid. Did you know how much it hurt? I asked quietly. Tears streamed down her face. Yes, and I chose to ignore it. That is unforgivable. It is not about forgiveness, Mom. It is about honesty and moving forward. I do not want to carry this hurt anymore. We talked for 3 hours that day. Really talked, perhaps for the first time since I was a teenager. She shared her regrets, her fear of confronting Harold, her gradual surrender of her own values. I shared how the exclusion had shaped me, the pain but also the determination it had fueled. I want to be part of your life again, she said as our lunch concluded. The real you, not the version of you Harold deemed acceptable. If you will let me, I would like that, I replied. But things cannot go back to how they were. I need boundaries, respect. She nodded. I understand. I have my own work to do, with or without Harold. That conversation began a careful rebuilding process. Mom started visiting me in Los Angeles, without Harold, reclaiming our relationship one lunch, one honest conversation at a time. She entered therapy herself, working through her patterns of self-abandonment and conflict avoidance. Harold, Justin, and Amanda responded differently to the resort incident. Harold initially refused to contact me, his pride too wounded. Justin surprisingly reached out first with an awkward but seemingly genuine email acknowledging the family's treatment of me had been wrong. Amanda followed weeks later with a carefully worded text that stopped short of a true apology but opened a door to communication. 6 months after the resort confrontation, Harold finally called. The conversation was stiff, formal. Your mother misses you, he said, as if that were his only reason for calling. She visits regularly, I replied. We are doing well. A long pause followed. The resort. That was well played, he finally admitted. I underestimated you all these years. It was not quite an apology, but from Harold it was significant. People often do, I responded. Over the next 2 years, family dynamics shifted gradually. Mom found her voice again, sometimes challenging Harold in ways that clearly surprised him. Their marriage adjusted, or Harold adjusted. It was hard to tell which. Justin and I developed a cautious friendship, based on our now similar business interests. Amanda remained distant, but civil. The resort thrived under my ownership. I implemented thoughtful renovations, enhancing the property while preserving its charm. The business success was gratifying, but the personal growth it represented meant far more. 1 year after purchasing the resort, I launched a new program there, Family Healing Retreats. Working with therapists and family counselors, we created weekend workshops for families struggling with conflict, estrangement, and reconciliation. The irony of hosting such retreats at the very property that symbolized my own family exclusion was not lost on me, but it felt right, transforming pain into purpose. Through all of this, I maintained my chosen family connections, Thomas and Sarah became grandparent figures to me. My close friends formed a support network that celebrated my successes and helped me through challenges. Dr. Patel continued guiding my personal growth until I reached a point where regular sessions were no longer needed. Looking back on the 8 years of exclusion now, I see them differently. Those painful rejections forced me to build inner resources I might otherwise never have developed. The hurt propelled me toward greater independence, resilience, and eventually success. This does not excuse what happened, but it helps me make meaning from it. The most profound lesson came from realizing that true belonging cannot be granted or withheld by others. Real family, whether biological or chosen, is built on mutual respect, not obligation or convenience. Sometimes standing your ground is not about revenge, but about establishing the value of your presence. Has your family ever made you feel excluded or less important? How did you handle it? Let me know in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, please hit the like button and subscribe to hear more stories of family dynamics and personal growth. Share this video with someone who might need to hear that they deserve a place at the table. Thank you for listening, and remember, you always deserve to belong.